map. The challenger in ShoWTimE looking to make the upset of the year already here. As we have spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner, it's our blue Zerg. Representing Root Gaming, it is Hydra. Arguably one of the favorites now of this entire tournament, has been for a while. And we're now up to the top right, we have our challenger in the red, representing alternate attacks. It is ShoWTimE.
You say Hydra considers himself the favorite. I don't think you quite understand the extent of that statement. I spoke with him a little bit before the match, and I was asking him what does he expect exactly out of ShoWTimE. And in the simplest of ways, he basically explained me that ShoWTimE is good, but he plays way too repetitive. He used way too many of the same builds, and he thought that he was just going to 3-0 him. That's simple.
Wow. Wow. Well, all right then, Hydra. He has a lot of confidence behind him. ShoWTimE, though, you know, I would argue that he's even quietly confident at the moment here in WCS. He's shown that he can play at such a high level, such a high caliber here, and I think he's going to give a really good run for ShoWTimE's money. Sorry, for Hydra's money, as that spawning pool has already gone down for Hydra. He will be going towards that hatchery in just a little bit as well. And already we're seeing a probe come out here for ShoWTimE to get good eyes on what Hydra's doing to start things off.
Yeah, he went all the way around that probe here. Very nicely done. He was able to spot
He's
that
going to go
earlier.
gold. He's going to go gold.
He's on route.
Yeah.
Once again, I've said that before, but when you're a Zerg player on route, then you get you know, to live, talk, and practice with cats, and you know, any kind of displaced hatchery. You know, it's not like, you know, hatch first, or your first hatchery on the gold is like something extraordinary that only cats does, but it's definitely one of those things, you know, where he has his certain level of comfort and he develops very, very well. And from time to time, you're going to see players, you know, that hang out, that talk with him, use it more often than not, and very successfully as well. I spoke a little bit with ShoWTimE as well, and he was telling me that he thinks PvZ is his second best matchup, but not too far behind his PvP.
Okay.
Unluckily for him, there's no Protoss here to face anymore.
Yep, he is the remaining last one here in this round of 4. I'm wondering if Hydra's going to use something like a Roach aggression from this gold base. I mean, we've seen our Zergs have to take gold bases in the past. I think it may have been Hydra, if I can recall the games. And then from that point on, he did look to put on some aggressive moves after a wacky game coming out in that situation.
ShoWTimE told me that he watched very closely the recent games of Hydra that he played at Gfinity up against Sparting, during which he used a lot of, you know, Zerglings straight into Hydralisks with this kind of build. Even, you know, on most maps where you wouldn't think, you know, you shouldn't particularly go for that, he skipped on Roaches and went straight into Hydralisks. Now, it kind of sounded like ShoWTimE was basically saying, I'm going to copy Parting, which I've talked a little bit about this before. I think it's close to impossible. Like what Parting did with gateway units against Hydralisk and Zerglings, like, I feel like he's the only one he will be able to do somehow. So if ShoWTimE was to go for something here, like, you know, a lot of gateways and aggression up against Zerglings and Hydralisks, it will take a perfect set, you know, of first 10 to 15 force fields to win, and decision making overall, which is actually incredibly hard to do. So I'd be very surprised if not only he went for it, but secondly, he won with it.
Great block there by ShoWTimE. His Zealot was a little bit out of place, and that Zergling could have got a full scout off. But now, another probe is going to block the second Zergling that tries to come in. Really good responses there from ShoWTimE with his units, slightly dislocated from that wall.
Hydra at this point, he's going to be wondering what's happening here. What is he trying to hide? Tech may not have necessarily have started yet, but he's going to need to be putting some effort into scouting what is up, and what is up is that there is a robo on the way, a very, very quick robo at that as well. And I mean, usually when you see a robo this quick, there is either Warp Prism and lots of gateways for aggression, or Immortal Pushes. And in this situation against a gold base, I do think that an Immortal Push is going to be one of the best things that you can do. There is also, you know, the Warp Prism Sentry drop that you can do, with which on this map you have a lot of ramps that you can force field block the Zerg either in or out of a certain location. Well, right now it's looking kind of reminiscent of that. There's another Overlord on the right-hand side trying to get there.
He's going to miss it. He's going to die before he even gets it. He's going to die.
He sees everything except what he actually has to see.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That is a bit difficult there for Hydra, gotta say.
Guess what we don't have, Kailaris, on the production tab? A Roach Warren. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the Hydra, and the signature, we've been using this word a lot, the signature build here of Hydra.
It pretty much is.
It's pretty good, honestly, especially if you're not using of playing against it. Like, those games of partying against Hydra where we won 4-2 against that style of Hydra, they were just out of this world. Like, as even watching them, and trying to do as much analysis as I could on them, I still don't get, the way he was able to pull it off the way he did.
He spots the Warp Prism as it gets out of this base, and then ShoWTimE now has got to really rethink this strategy. Surely, he may try and fly up towards the main and try and do something there, but there's plenty of lava available here for Hydra to make any units that he needs to when defending this position.
13 lavas available for Hydra, who made a bunch of overlords in advance to make sure he would be able to get all of these Hydralisks out on the map to defend against the supposed 2 base, which so far is proving to be true from ShoWTimE.
And he spotted that probe being unloaded. He will find that pylon, pushing that back. Well, for a second, he could easily wrap around and try and deny that with all the amount of Zerglings.
No Immortals are starting. This is a massive all-in here. 8 gateways for ShoWTimE. He's only going to be whopping in Zealots, Sentries, maybe a few Stalkers here and there, but I think mostly Zealots and Sentries, and he's trying to pull a little bit of a parting build here.
This could get really scary, because he's going up against Hydralisks, and Hydras are going to be able to bring down these gateway units very, very quickly. Force fields need to go down eventually, but he's going to throw out the Guardian Shield to start things off. Already locked some of those Hydralisks against these units, but he has very little available here to him to ShoWTimE. Very, very difficult to deal with.
This is what I was telling you. You can't go for the parting build and hope for it to be nearly as successful as when he does. And look at ShoWTimE's face. He knows that he's in so much trouble. He most likely already has lost this game. It's just so hard to recover from there. Oh, the Roddy Mothership Core.
It was a cheeky attempt here from ShoWTimE, but it was spotted as those Zerglings at the front saw it coming out of the main base. Now Hydra has his Infestation Pit on the way, the Ling Hydra composition that he has available here, and the creeps are pushing forwards. He could happily just go Swarmos and just start sieging up this location.
I mean, with the income that he has from that gold base being, 8 workers ahead, he can literally go into anything he wants. The creep spread is just massive. ShoWTimE's gonna go for another wave number 2 of the all-in here, but I mean, I do think that Hydra is gonna be able to defend as long as he just keeps on making units, and he's doing just right now, Kailaris.
How are you supposed to deal with this? How are you supposed to break these locations? 62 army supply against 53 at the moment. Force fields are pretty good. I'm not going to disagree with that, but he needs to find a good route to actually execute that. There's already spines as well as a ton of Hydras here at the front.
It's actually a pretty massive army here by ShoWTimE. 61 army supply to 73. Hydras are very good against this, but Force Fields and Guardian Shield are going to be ShoWTimE's only hope.
It's going to be okay. There's about 5 Hydras at the back that aren't shooting at the moment, so not really denying too much of the damage coming in forwards here against him. That second wave of Force Fields might separate off a few at the back. The Zealots move to the forwards, and the Hydras were able to kill those off at the front. But I think eventually he should be able to win out this fight with a defensive position.
Yeah, ShoWTimE's out of Force Fields. He's out of strength, out of units here.
He lost the Warp Prism as well. Can't reinforce into this fight as quickly as he would like. Dancing the Hydralisks. Hydra, you cheeky guy. This is only game number 1. And he's telling ShoWTimE to get out of this game at the moment because he is pushing this gateway force back. He only has 8 Stalkers and 1 Sentry left. That ends up falling. And dances again. Hydra here in WCS. He is so damn confident. Oh my god. Gonna have to micro back these Stalkers. I'm not really sure he can do a whole lot more with this, but Hydra doesn't even break a sweat here. There you go. GG. Game number 1 goes to Hydra. He's almost trying to demoralize ShoWTimE in this first game.
And I'm very worried that he might succeed here. If you start letting this get to your head here as ShoWTimE, you are not going to be in for a good time. This was a very risky attempt here by ShoWTimE, which got sanctioned very, very quickly. To be honest, this style of, Zergling straight into Hydralisk is very, very hard to deal with just because nobody else uses it. Well, I guess if you lived in Europe and used to play against Steffel to some extent, he was the guy doing that, but he was pretty different from back then. And I feel like in this game, if he wanted to do that ShoWTimE, he could have done it much better with just gateways without a robo. Because actually going for a robo, it kind of slowed down, not only the timing, but, the amount of units that he actually went for. He had just gone for pure 8 gateways, lots of Sentries, Zealots, and then later on whopped in some Stalkers. And took a good fight with good force fields. I feel he would have had a much better chance than for what he tried for. Like, it's like he had a Warp Prism to reinforce. Why even make a pylon then?
That was tough stuff for ShoWTimE. Very, very tough stuff. Catalina is going to be our next map here in this best-of-5 semi-final to figure out who goes on to the grand final here at the World Championship Series Season 1 for 2015. And what a season it has been so far, Todd. What a round of 8 we had just before this. And what a road ShoWTimE has had to this round of 4. But Hydra, look how confident he looked in that game number 1. Look at those dancing units to just try and push ShoWTimE to the brink in terms of his mindset. Catalina being our second map here, Todd. Who are you favoring going into this?
I mean, Hydra, definitely. In this kind of series, after losing the first game like this here, if I was ShoWTimE, I definitely would want to go back to my go-to style, you know, 3 bases, Blink, Stalkers and all that. But Catalina can be a tough map to take a 3rd base on. It's a map where we see a lot of special builds once again. So I really don't know what he's going to go for, but I hope for him that it's the right choice this time, because he definitely wasn't the last game.
All right, let's get into it. Game number 2 here in this round of 4 semi-final, as we have spawning down to the bottom right here of Catalina. It's our blue Zerg representing Team Root. It is Hydra. Showing dominating performance there in game number 1. Knew exactly what to do against the kind of plays that we're seeing from this man up to the north. As our red Protoss representing alternate attacks, it is ShoWTimE. Dispatched a very strong Zerg in the previous round, but now he faces the tallest task of his tournament.
Hydra told me that he thought ShoWTimE is very, very predictable. ShoWTimE almost always opens for Gateway 13, then goes for a Nexus without gas. And when you do the same build pretty much every single game, without really mixing up all that much, and you become predictable, there is a few hard counters that you can do as a Zerg. I feel like one of the best builds that you could use here as a Zerg against this style is to be very greedy. You could literally go for double hatch, then pull, be extremely greedy, and there's nothing the Protoss player is going to be able to do to punish that. You can't really throw down a forge in the middle of that build and cannon base. Actually, you can, but it wouldn't be that good, I think, personally. So Hydra still goes for the pull first here. Gonna want to be careful, you know, up against the cannon rush, which ShoWTimE from time to time definitely has proved he could go for that. Actually, ShoWTimE goes for a gas this time, so not going to be going for the usual Nexus behind Gateway.
We have seen him try that, you're right. And sometimes it's had varying degrees of success. ShoWTimE has even scouted out very, very early on 4-player maps and then tried to go for those Forge cannon rush plays. But so far, he is just looking to go for what would seem like a quicker expansion after the Cybernetics core has gone down here for ShoWTimE. And at the moment, he's got to be reeling from that first game. Hydra, as I said, at the very end of that game, trying to demoralize his opponent. Yeah. And you very rarely see that happen at the first game of a best-of-5.
Yeah, I mean, this really wasn't a very good way to start the series here for ShoWTimE. Not only picked the wrong build, but his opponent ended up dancing right before him during those fights. Like, there was still quite a few units out there for ShoWTimE. I mean, Hydra wasn't going to lose anytime soon, but definitely, you know, a tough loss. And now he's open with, you know, a little bit of an old school build, going for, you know, the Gateway, Gas Core, starting the Nexus, and then getting Mothership Core plus Warp Gate. I'm pretty sure he's going to get a Zealot here, most likely, with which you can actually move out, you know, try and put some pressure. ShoWTimE has been the guy, though, who's really, really loved going for a Stalker. And since he's not going for a Zealot right now, I'm starting to believe that he's just gonna want to go for the usual Stalker that he loves to deny any kind of scouting with. And here we go, Stalker.
Probe will spot the 3rd base. That's a good little scout there for ShoWTimE. Decides not to go towards the natural, knowing that there is probably one there anyway after the timing of the 2nd expansion that he spotted. And just chrono boosting out the Warp Gate tech for now. It's pretty normal on the world of ShoWTimE with that 2nd gas on the way.
I think ShoWTimE here, he just adds on 2 gateways, goes into a forge and kind of goes, you know, into his usual build. It feels a little bit like he went for this build here to be safe in case, you know, Hydra was to try for some only. Like, Hydra showed so much confidence the first game. The way, you know, he went for his build order, he had way too much for what ShoWTimE had, and then he danced units. Hydra feels like a very, very confident guy right now. And sometimes confident guys, they are that confident, you know, guys like Life, that they throw down, you know, a 10 gas, 10 pull, and they go for Ling Rush, and they kill you when you go Nexus first. So maybe didn't want to risk that. And it looks like we might have... Oh, nice deny here on the scout with those probes at the ramp. we might have, you know, a 3-gate pressure here, which, oh my god, there's a Ling
Yeah.
going around here.
And he did actually reroute it, but towards the same direction anyway.
Oh my
with
god.
that Stargate now about to go down.
That
So,
Ling is queued right on top of that.
yeah, Hydra is going to find this straight away. That Stalker is looking to come and deny.
He might follow the probe, actually, to kill it. But since the probe was in and up there, Hydra, if he realizes, you know, that it was, he would just check there. But no, he's going to lose the Ling.
He'll send something. He has to send something.
Okay, this is very suspicious. And by that, I mean, right now, Hydra, he knows that he's being attacked by gateways. But I think he might not suspect the Stargate. He's very common to get a pylon here to attack with gateways.
That's true.
I don't think he's going to get spores.
You know what? ShoWTimE, from there on out, might have actually used these Stalkers as the ruse.
Yes.
4 Stalkers coming down from this location here might throw Hydra off guard, of course, with those Lings. Now trying to push this back, but they don't have speed. There's 14 more on the way, but speed is miles off.
Yeah. Where is he going to fly with the Oracle into, though? Does he go for the main? If he goes for the third base, there could be, you know, 2 queens.
If he could get
there.
queens with this small force somehow, some way, but he's got to deal with the Lings first.
Yeah, the Oracle's goal here is to kill drones, nothing else. You don't want to go for Lings. You don't care about Lings.
No, not at all. Well, he will continue to micro on back against this. ShoWTimE's a little bit scared right now as to when speed's going to be kicking in. Luckily for him, it's going to kick in quite late. There has a bit of a forge spotted behind all of this, so Hydra should know that the transition is possible from here.
He's waiting for the recall. Speed is 12 seconds away from finishing. He actually gets a surround, forces the recall, but the Oracle's gonna be flying in the main here. There is only 1 queen there, Kylaris.
And there's no creep connecting these bases, so it will take a little while for them to reinforce. There goes the Spore Crawler instantly to try and deny anything extra from going on, but the drones obviously have to evacuate out to the safety of a second queen. Good use of the drones to lure him to a second queen in range of it, despite not having that creep connecting the bases.
Oh, Lings are gonna try to sneak into the main here of ShoWTimE. He's actually moved out here a little bit outside of his wall. Needs to be careful, but he should have enough units to defend that. Anyway, Lings are now going for the pylon, and they're gonna find the Stargate.
And he'll kill off more drones at the third base, which is always very, very nice here for ShoWTimE to try and even up those numbers. It's 54 workers to 49 at the moment.
He killed 10 drones in total this game, and he still has his double Oracle alive. So right now, ShoWTimE is going to start working on the third base. He's got Blink and +1 on the way. I wouldn't be surprised if he threw down a bunch of additional gateways, went into a lot of stalkers, and with how much he slowed Hydra, I mean, 51 probes to 15-8 drones, it's not bad at all. He's going to be able to get a lot of units out.
And walls off with that Zealot, making sure he's not going to be able to get anything here. But at the same time, the sentries that did come back get walled in with some of those Zerglings. One will continue to survive on, but one did fall, and the Zerglings managed to get in. So he's going to get full intel here.
Yeah. He's going to see that there is most likely a Blink and some attack upgrades in the way. It's almost never going to be charged here. Hydra rebuilt quite nicely on drones, by the way. Oh my god, 70 drones to 49 probes right now. So he has a great economy, but I mean, in terms of, you know, units and tech, he can basically only make Roaches and Hydras right now. He's going into the infestation pit. No Spire or anything like that here on this map and in these positions. He knows that it's probably going to be a very, you know, aggressive map here for ShoWTimE, who started a third, and Hydra saw it immediately. So usually what you see behind this is like a lot of gateways, lots of Link Stalkers, and then aggression. So I think Hydra might be planning to go into Hydras, Roaches, and then straight into Hive for some Vipers.
I mean, this is one of the parts of the game where Hydra finds the most stability and the most control. In the mid-game, where he has available to him the Ling Hydra, and maybe even Roaches in their composition, but also with the Hive on the way, he has a very, very quick transitionary route up to Vipers, which is actually something at the moment that he might not need, for more so for Blinding Clouds than Abduct, because of the style that we're seeing from ShoWTimE.
He needs more Hydra, more Roaches, maybe even more Links on the ground, but he's still confident enough to take into Vipers already. He sees, you know, the move out here from ShoWTimE, who's on 8 gateways. He's going to be whopping in Stalkers 8 by 8, Kailash. The saturation on the third base of ShoWTimE is minimal. This is a massive commitment here out of ShoWTimE, and he's expecting to achieve damage.
And moving forwards now, how much do we have available to Hydra? Only 14 Hydralists and 13 Zerglings. There's a few more Zerglings on the way, 9 Hydralists in production, and they will have their speed very, very soon. Force Fields could do a pretty good job if he was to take the engagement now, but he doesn't want to stray too far onto creep, thus he would potentially get surrounded.
Not sure why Hydra is sending his links away. He's going to go for a snipe on the panel. He's coming back with them now.
Okay, he's actually zoning out quite a few of those Hydralists at the back that aren't doing much, but he's not getting a ton of damage done himself whilst that first wall is down. So he's going to pull back. I think he was expecting the Zerglings to run in from the back and isolate those things off.
ShoWTimE has been playing a little bit scared here, and he should be, because there is just so many Hydralisks out here for Hydra. He's wearing his name well, man. And they're going to do well for him against Stalkers and pure gateway units so far.
The setup in a good concave. Time Warp's going to end up falling to try and slow down and make sure the positioning of the concave is good. That initial force field will separate off a little bit of this concave, and that was a very, very patient, strong move there by ShoWTimE. Blinks forwards on top of all these Hydras here, and he should be able to bring a lot of them down. The drones had to get pulled off the line as well for Hydra, but he's going to push it back.
I think Hydra realized how many drones he had, and he realized that he had too many of them, that he could use them to tank some damage for his units. All of a sudden, he's held for now, but ShoWTimE's trying to regain a good position on the left-hand side. Oh my god, that one sentry is full on energy. Vipers are in the production now. Oh, Viper, rather. It's just one for now.
Yeah, and Blinding Cloud, very, very strong against this composition, unless the Blink Stalkers can reposition themselves very, very quickly. The Hydralisks will rip up those Stalkers if he doesn't actually do much with it. The third base for ShoWTimE is very undersaturated at the moment. So he's doing this off only 53 workers.
This is all in Kailash. He has to do way much more damage. He has to commit more. And he's blinking forward. Big mistake against this many Roaches and Hydras.
There's a lot there for Hydra. He's going to push this all the way back through the middle of the map. There is a pylon and reinforcing there, but again, he's down on gas. He's down on minerals. He really doesn't have much to fuel this any longer.
Hydra now. Now that he's got a Viper for Blinding Cloud, I mean, this is going to be even harder for ShoWTimE to make anything happen. He's run out of Sentry. The Root Gaming player, man, he's playing so well, and I really think this is going to be a 2-0 unless something crazy happens. What can he do at this point? ShoWTimE, I guess he's going to try for a move in the main base here, but
I'm not sure. He needs to find a route somewhere. And, well, all those Roaches are going to have to push all this away. And he will actually blink down very, very strongly against that. So it wasn't a terrible trade for ShoWTimE, but he's still so far down. He's only warping in Stalkers. And as much as Stalkers are strong, +2 has only just started now. About 15 minutes into the game. That's not early enough.
He was on +1 this whole time, and now Hydra is just that confident. He realized how much more supply he has. He's going to press forward with the one Viper that he has as well. I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing Hydralisks dancing here very soon, Kailash.
Yeah, probably. This is a really, really strong force from Hydra, pushing on towards the third base. ShoWTimE trying to blink back desperately against the oncoming tide of aggression
army supply
that we're going to see pushing on through towards that third base. He's setting himself up a concave for these Blink Stalkers, but they really don't have much room to blink back to.
Double the army supply, Kailash. 128 to 64 right now. Hydra is just waiting to regroup a little bit with his units. You can see he still has a few of them in the production tab. I don't think waiting for the upgrades is necessary here.
Yeah.
But he's just going to go for it, and I don't see how ShoWTimE is going to be able to hold this.
So much power behind this Roach and Hydra, even though Viper coming along could happily throw down a Blinding Cloud, will do in the midst of all of these Stalkers that are going to fall very, very rapidly, despite the Blink Micro going down here from ShoWTimE and trying to hold on valiantly. Well, actually, he's not doing too badly, but still, the reinforcement potential for Hydra behind this, because he has 4 bases, is very, very strong. He's going to bring in a few more Hydras to try and break this position once and for all. It's still only gateway units here for ShoWTimE. As on the right flank, he was defeated on the left, and now the right is vulnerable here at this third base. He can bring down building after building. If he was reinforcing very aggressively with those Roaches and Hydras to come along at the front, then he can actually just end this very soon.
I mean, ShoWTimE here, he has no other tech than Blink Stalkers. +2 will finish here momentarily, but I mean, he's down to 18 Stalkers, no Sentry and 1 Zealot against 16 Roaches and 19 Hydralisks. I really don't see how he's going to stay in this game too much longer here. Photon overcharge or not, and Hydra is marching towards victory at this point.
His army's super, super strong at the moment, as ShoWTimE still only has Blink Stalkers available to him. Of course, he did get +2 weapons in there, so that will help him for a little bit, but Hive is finished for Hydra. He's got +3 weapons on the way, so ShoWTimE is really against the clock. How are you supposed to defeat Roach Hydra composition with only Blink Stalkers, especially when they're going to have +3?
Well, in this situation, he cannot transition anyway, so I guess he's going to be only Blink Stalkers and hope for a miracle, but right now, Hydra is just waiting to remax, regroup, and with the one Viper that's here, Blinding Clouds are going to be pretty massive once again.
Yeah, trying to grab himself the concave. There you go. GG, that Blinding Cloud goes down. And Hydra is able to take game number 2 pretty strongly there. There were moments where ShoWTimE was looking to threaten, but in the end, Hydra prevails through. All right, game number 3 will be coming up very soon here between Hydra and ShoWTimE, and it's going to be on Overgrowth. Is there some way that ShoWTimE can mount this comeback, Todd?
I think so. It's going to be through playing very differently. Right now, he's trying to be very aggressive. It's almost as if he's playing like he's the massive underdog. I don't think he's the massive underdog. He's been playing really well this tournament. That's including up against Zergs. You know, the way, like, when you see a player play this aggressive here, it kind of looks, you know, a little bit desperate to some extent, especially 2 games like this in a row. So I'm not sure exactly why he's playing like this. He must think, or he must have thought, at least beforehand, that it was the best way to go about taking on somebody like Hydra, but it wasn't. He should try for a straight game, I think.
Maybe, yeah. The man, at the moment, he looks like a man broken, as you can see there.
But a standard game, you know, 3 bases, more tech, take it to the late game. Because that's also really where Hydra struggled in the past. Remember, like some of those games up against Zest in Katowice, the 3 games that he lost, he looked a little bit, you know, I guess lost. That's the best word that I can think of in those games. Like he didn't seem to know exactly when and how to transition, and then just kind of died, you know, to Zest's perfect read in those games.
Well, Overgrowth is going to be our 3rd map here between ShoWTimE and Hydra, and the countdown has begun for our 3rd map as we get into it. There is the potential that we could see the clean sweep here from Hydra, and he moves on to the grand finals in stellar fashion, in dominating fashion. He's looked good all tournament long. But can ShoWTimE, the challenger, come back? He needs to win 3 games in a row from here on out. Otherwise, he will be eliminated from the World Championship Series. As we load up for game number 3. The man to the left, 2 games up at the moment, and looking to power on through to the grand final. As we have spawning up to the right-hand corner of the map here on Overgrowth, it is that man indeed. Representing Team Root, it is Hydra. And down to the bottom left-hand corner, it's our red Protoss. Hailing from Germany, 2-time EPS champion and making it all the way to the round of 8, it is ShoWTimE.
Maybe one of the reasons he played the way he did in previous game was once again the map. You know, I mentioned it before we started on it. It can be very difficult on Catalina, you know, to play a standard game. It's such a different map. There is a lot of, you know, path your opponent can counterattack through, and it's going to be harder, you know, to get vision on what your opponent is exactly doing sometimes. So he thought that, you know, that he was going to be able to break Hydra with a lot of Blink Stalkers, and 99% of the time this kind of stuff works, you know, against 99% of players, but against Hydra, he's just way too solid right now. And well, very interested in that goal base by the look of things right now.
Yeah, showing no fear here as Hydra in the round of 4, and after the last 2 games that we've had from him, why on earth would he show fear, right? Yeah. He has actually dominated these positions. ShoWTimE gave him a little bit of a run for his money in game number 2 on Catalina, whilst he was trying to put on pressure at that 3rd base, but it was unsuccessful, and Hydra stabilized pretty well.
Hydra is not only ridiculously good, he also has this own style, you know, where he goes for like gold bases, goes for Hydralisk and Zerglings while keeping roaches that make it even more difficult of playing against him. Like a player plays in old style, he's always gonna play, you know, to his advantage to some extent, but it's really the fact that he's just so good, plus does his own style, that really is throwing ShoWTimE off his game completely so far in this series here. Now we're on Overgrowth. This is the map that has been the map all the longest. ShoWTimE has played a lot of games on this map. I'm sure he's gonna have a better idea on what to do and, you know, figure out a better game plan. I really think that even against a gold base here, you can play a little bit more straight up, you know, take your own 3rd base and then have a good mix of defense with controlled aggression to propel yourself into, you know, the middle stage, possibly even late game stage of the game here.
Well, spots himself that gold base up towards the top, and ShoWTimE from here on out, I have to agree with you. I think that going for something like a longer plan, a longer term plan, maybe even the Phoenix play he went for before, but going up against Hydra with him being so projected towards going Hydras very, very fast, unless you catch those Hydralisks early when they're popping out from each of the hatcheries, you're not going to be able to deal with them too well with that kind of Phoenix opener.
I was thinking more something like Blink and +2 with the third base, with which you fake that you want to be very aggressive on the goal base, and then Zerg kind of panics, makes a lot of units, but behind this you're actually taking and planning on playing defensively. In which case, if the Zerg moves across the map, you have photon overcharge, you can force field, you can defend with a lot of Blink Stalkers, and then you're taking onto better units, so Colossus, High Templars, while the Zerg is expanding a lot more slowly in terms of taking a fourth, taking a fifth, just because you faked aggression with those Blink Stalkers. I know I went very far with this, but this is what I was feeling would be good, I think he might do here.
Well, going to take his natural base from here on out is Hydra, after having secured that goal before, and he's scouting out every single little inch of the map on the right-hand side to make sure that there's not going to be anything too crazy going on from ShoWTimE, as Hydra seems to feel comfortable against anything other than something completely out of the ordinary. Even checking down to the bottom right-hand corner, just in case it would be that Twilight Council with the Dark Shrine that we saw in ShoWTimE's previous match.
Hydra has looked so good in those first two games. I'm really, really worried for ShoWTimE here. He's definitely going to be needing to be on his A game. And I mean, Hydra at this point, he even told me his best matchup is the Zerg versus Terran. He would face a Terran in the finals if he won here. He would be a very, very happy guy with that, even before the match began here. Our observer here just a second ago pointed out the income right now, thanks to the golds, vastly superior here for Hydra. The thing is, as good as that is, as long as you know you get your sentries, your stalkers, you should be okay defensively, possibly even with a few good timings offensively here for Protoss.
And it's so fantastic to see that Hydra has really kind of crunched the numbers and understands that Protoss, even when he takes a gold base, even on overgrowth, has a pretty difficult time of dealing with it if you're a guy like ShoWTimE who plays these kinds of styles. So he is hunkered down, he is good to go, he's getting even Spore Crawlers just to make sure that he's not going to take any damage back at home. And from there on out, his economy will look good, and he'll probably just transition into the Hydras very, very soon with the range upgrade.
Yeah, that guy, man, he loves that build. One good thing that Hydra could have done is start working on this debris between his natural and gold base, but instead of that, he wants to be a little bit aggressive, which shouldn't work here. Especially since this one is, you know, closing in very, very quickly. ShoWTimE's gonna go for the same one on that third base, by the way, that he did last time. You can't... What?
Whoa, that was a really quick cancel, but...
That was a bit of a premature cancel. I guess he didn't want to move out with all of the sentries and the Stalker. ShoWTimE is falling apart here a little bit. I really think he should have been able to defend that here with a Zealot Whopping. Oh my god. And all of a sudden, he's going for double Twilight Council. No, ShoWTimE.
This could spell disaster.
Completely falling apart. He's adding on gateways. He's going to be going for a two-base blink here, possibly. No, I think he's going to try to re-expand, but I mean...
Oh dear.
This is bad. He's facing a gold base. He's going to be taking a third base much later than he would have liked to.
You can't do this.
At this point, for Hydra, having delayed the third base this much, okay, he finally realized that he had double Twilight. At this point for Hydra, he realized that he delayed the third base enough to possibly, you know, make a lot of units and even go for an attack. He might be thinking about it. Might not necessarily go for it, just because he's ahead enough that he could take the opportunity. But both things will be right. Macroing will be okay. Going for an attack could be okay here as well, too.
Hydra's going for the SF station pit behind this, so he can get up to that hive pretty quickly. And then from that point on, he is going to be rocketing. I mean, he's only at 48 workers at the moment, sure, but the lead he's got a lot more Lings on the way. How many units does he have? He has 10 Hydralists as well.
He made 10 Hydras, which are going to be rejoined by, I don't know, like something like 50 Zerglings.
If he sandwiches those units in between all of this, the 5 Hydras are at the front pressuring. But this force alone, how is it going to be able to hold this? He needs to throw down force fields. Will do it from the top. Good. Seals off a lot of those Hydralists there, and that's the best engagement he could possibly take, considering how many Zerglings are flooding on around.
I'm a little bit surprised that Hydra is not going for the wall on the left-hand side. Here we go. He's going to go for that. Photon overcharge should be used there. ShoWTimE needs to a few Zealots to tank at the front for his sentries and Stalkers to do the damage behind to kill those Hydralisks. And Hydra here, I don't think he's going to overextend. He made all of those units, but behind this he was droning up. He's already taking into Hive. He's getting a Roach Run with the lead that he has here. there is quite a few things that he could do. He could, I think, even finish it with just Roach, Hydra, and Vipers, but he's going for Enduring Locust, so I guess he's going to go the other route. That's possible.
Yeah, can happily just put on some pressure through the middle or towards that third base with those swarm hosts. Use them in a very aggressive manner. There's no real reason for him to sit back and sit still. ShoWTimE is adding on Immortals to the composition.
He's panicked. You don't need those Immortals right now.
And the Contaminate as well to slow down the upgrades here from ShoWTimE. Every little thing is going in Hydra's favor, aside from the Overseer dying off. But other than that, at the moment, to be honest with you though, Hydra's economy at the very beginning of this game wasn't very strong.
Yeah, he neglected the drone production and made a lot of Zerglings and Hydras, which he didn't were defended well enough. ShoWTimE knew that here he couldn't fight too early. He had to buy some time, so he threw down a good set of force spells, which bought him enough time for him to survive longer. And then behind this, Hydra had to pull back because he was going to get overwhelmed if he stayed for too long. But now he's going into Swarmos production. ShoWTimE has no idea. ShoWTimE, ideally right now, he would like to face, a Roach Hydra composition, not Vipers and Swarmos. He's not ready for those. He has no Robo Bay or Templar Archive.
He has a lot of steps to be taking before he can actually combat anything that we're seeing from Hydra, who could easily just move towards the right-hand side with a clump of this, then continue to put on the pressure there. The creep has encroached onto Protoss location, almost next to the natural, and that will make these swarm hosts all the more powerful as ShoWTimE realizes he has to do something.
This is great for Hydra if he can just set up, the siege here with the Spark Crawler and the vision from the Xel'Naga Watchtower. There is no way for ShoWTimE to circumvent this position. Like doing something like going through the right-hand side and counter-attacking might be one of the best things that he could do here. But look, he's getting the Templar Archive, he's getting the Robo Bay, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be defending, which usually proves to be most difficult here against a good Zerg like Hydra.
Yeah, he's going to have to defend for a while. He's going to have to defend for a very long time.
He's going to rely on the War Prism to go for some kind of counter-attack to try and pull Hydra back. But Hydra, he has no plan to give him any time right now. He's sieging with a few Swarmos, he's amassing Roaches, Hydralisks and Vipers, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be going for a deadly attack here very soon.
Force fields can buy a little bit of time as he will throw down some on the top here, as well as to the left-hand side. Some of the Locusts you end up filtering through, and they get even just a few of these gateway units, which will make it all the harder here for ShoWTimE to hold on against it. Even the small amount of units that are getting forwards with the grabs there onto the Immortals as well means that ShoWTimE here is on the brink of elimination with Blinding Clouds slowing down any kind of damage that's coming out from this gateway force. An army supply of 129 against 41. ShoWTimE is all but done here. He's trying to hold on at this third base. Photon Overcharge will do a little bit more damage, but the Roaches and Hydras just don't care. Powering through towards this third base location, killing off any more units that remain on the right-hand side, and he may have overstretched it just a little bit there, but he's done so much damage in preparation for any next stage in this game, and it's going to be a very hard time for ShoWTimE.
There's too much. ShoWTimE tried his best, but there's just too much, Kylars.
It was a valiant effort, but the third base will fall. ShoWTimE was trying to hold on tooth and nail to keep that location, but it is not going to come to pass as the Stalkers try and blink furiously back on the right-hand side, but well played, GG. Hydra makes it to the grand finals here after an absolute masterclass of Zerg versus Protoss.